Greetings, and welcome to another episode of Coffee with Kiyonah. May you be blessed. Today I'm thinking a little bit about sociocultural revolution. How this sociocultural revolution is really happening. Because a lot of people get really caught up in the current politics, and they seem to feel like nothing's really happening, or that this enemy is too strong, or that the people with real heart, the real warriors, they're not really around anymore, and everybody who's around now is mainly just sheeple that are happy with how things are. And none of this is really true. It's just where you put your focus, really, And so I'm going to talk a little bit about shifting our focus so that our reality shifts and we strengthen the sociocultural revolution towards a more beautiful world, a happier world, a more fun world, a more cooperative world. And that world is starting out pretty small. It's mainly just the world right around you, and then wherever you interface with other people who have brought their world back to life with sociocultural revolution. Revolution meaning a return to what matters, what's real, what's beautiful, what's good, what's true, what's authentic, what's fun, what's wild, what's free. So I was reading a book published in 1969 called Woodstock Nation by a radical activist named Abbie Hoffman. And he was saying on page 77 that what we are for is a total revolution, not just a little bit of a revolution or a moderate revolution, but a total revolution. And so not just a political revolution where we clean house and start over again and do it right, but a social revolution, spiritual revolution, cultural revolution, economic revolution on all levels. And the way that we can really do that is by voting with our actions and our dollars, and therefore create more and more of what we really want to see in the world. And if you don't have much power to influence things, then you do have power over your own life in your choices that you make, right? So on page 132 and 133, he talked about being at Woodstock and being a part of Woodstock Nation. And he said that most of the hippies and hipsters and people like that left when Woodstock was over. And they left a lot of junk behind, all their pamphlets and sleeping bags and stuff. But the people who stayed became better people for it. They became more authentic, more revolutionary. They helped with the cleanup. They continued to struggle to effect change in the world and to invigorate people out of their sleepwalking. And so I think he was basically saying that the struggle for change by recreating our lives is where you are honed and you are sharpened and you are enlivened. Okay? So, refusing to further comply with, say, draft or taxes or whatever the situation is back in the 60s, refusing to comply with that was a really radical and kind of dangerous act that could get you locked up or ostracized. And not only that, but these people were wild enough to then create free people parks and engage in free sex and do all kinds of drugs that expanded their minds and regulated their moods, and quit their jobs and become artists and actors and musicians and form communes, and thank God for that. They paved a lot of trails for us, and they're sociocultural ancestors for us, and we build on what they did. Like the Grateful Dead and the Merry Pranksters. Their early music in the warehouses with the day-glow paint is really hard to listen to, I feel like. So I asked my partner Fred, why were people so into that? That screeching, endless, shapeless guitar music with day-glow paint in a big warehouse with all these strange people. And he said that their job was to generate chaos, to bust up the stagnant culture and stagnant systems. And it required that discordance in order to shake things up and open the door for new things, like psychedelic jam rock and every musical innovation now that you can think of. Ska, punk, bluegrass punk, women's music, world music, everything you can think of, the doors swung wide open once they were busted down, And so, we don't want to just go to the festival of life and then leave when we think the party's over and leave all our shit behind. We want to stay behind and be the cleanup crew, and reseed the ground with new seeds. And we want to distribute the ground scores we find and recycle all the trash and scatter all the camps and hide the evidence of the damage, and so that it can grow over and heal. We want to do that culturally, okay? And it happens with every choice you make. Every time you take out the garbage, every time you go to a festival, every time you choose what to watch on YouTube, just every time you do anything, you vote with your dollar and you vote with your choice for the world you want to create. And it needs to be at least a little bit radical. It needs to be shaken out of whatever is not in alignment, Instead of doing things the same old way, like the status quo, why not question reality or call someone on their shit or say, no, I don't want to do it this way anymore. I want to find a different way to do this. And I think the inspiration of the 60s is to do it in a wild way that has fun. Kind of pagan, Loving the earth, loving life, loving spirit, loving each other. And we learned a lot from the mistakes they made too. A lot of them burned out, a lot of them were superficial in the first place, a lot of them got damaged by drugs or ended up selling out to the system, and that's all good, that's okay. We can learn a lot from each one of those experiences unfolding, and then see if we can modify it and do it in a better way, Like a lot of people believed in communes and everybody living together in the same house and sharing everything, including their partners and their children and their private possessions and everything else. And now I see a lot in the intentional communities movement that the people are the happiest when there's a big piece of land with a lot of green space and woods and room to roam. And each couple or group has its own house. And then there's all these houses. And then there's a community house and a bathhouse and a meditation place and a garden. So they have their private space and their coming together space. And this helps them to be more cohesive and have their own space. So we've learned a lot, but just depending on how much power you have, I would encourage you today to see what you can do that's revolutionary. What choice you can make, what conversation you can have, what project you can start, You can go on Coursera or do it any number of other ways and study the history of the 60s, the history of rock music, the history of revolution. You can study these things and learn about them. So, a lot of the good books from the 60s, from the radicals, are out of print, and we have enough to keep me busy for a while. Although somebody stole all of our Black Panther books and all of our books about China and Russia, one of the guys that was living here. So I might not ever get to read those, I'm not sure, but we still have all the 60s stuff, all the history of the 60s and rock music and all the politics and people and all the different communes and communities, like Diggers and Morning Star and on and on and on and on. And so I just like to, I don't read books cover to cover like my partner does. I just randomly flip them open and see what grabs me and then go from there. So it's all good. Anything you can do to educate yourself and open your mind and think about things is going to be good, you know. And let your freak flag fly just a little bit more, you know. I have a lightning bolt tattoo on my neck today, and people act really shocked when they see a tattoo there. It's really like a jolt of electricity, just a little thing like that. So imagine the impact that you can have by transforming your life towards more creativity and more freedom and more consciousness. That's how we make the sociocultural revolution happen. Because when we live consciously, we generate quantum waves of consciousness that ripple through the collective, through the people around us and the people we influence and the people they are around and who they influence. And it all adds to it, you know. And it takes time. It's a process, as I always say. But it won't happen unless we do it. Okay? So find some good books to read today or some good movies to watch that inspire you to redecorate your life with anything that represents the sociocultural revolution towards peaceful people power. Get a big poster of Bob Marley with a beautiful quote, you know, or a hippie tapestry, or a handmade journal to write slogans in, you know, or get a new African drum or something. You know, start doing stuff to bring some flavor to your life. Grow a dreadlock or put a hair wrap in your hair, you know. Get a Sharpie pen and draw tattoos on your hand, you know, that say really cool stuff and walk around that way. Or put little tattoos in surprising places, you know. And just start creating little ripples all the time, you know. Just start small and let it ripple. I think you'll enjoy it. So that's going to wrap it up for today. So remember to be beautiful and be free and be true to yourself. Be blissed and be blessed and be a blessing. And as you go through your day, take care and take it easy. Take some time to enjoy life and being embodied here and now. And until I talk with you again, namaste and blessed be.